I recorded this video before the layoffs were announced at Microsoft, which unfortunately do affect some of their gaming teams, the Xbox brand, including 343 and Bethesda. I don't think any of that changes any of my thoughts of what was already recorded, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention it. It sucks for everyone involved, and of course it leaves the future of Halo, again, in doubt. Yet again. And while this is a broader Microsoft level decision, likely above Xbox, it does speak to my absolute and utter bafflement that Microsoft continues to bungle their Xbox brand to this degree. They should be shoring up teams like 343 and even Bethesda, but instead they're just the subject of layoffs. I don't know the financials of Microsoft, but I do know that Satya Nadella maybe doesn't need to be making over $50 million a year. Whatever that means to you, those are my thoughts. Sucks for all those who lost their jobs, and I hope you land on your feet. Anyway, back to my senseless rambling and raving. Hey everyone, it's me, Ryan. Welcome back to the channel here for a little kind of like a rant type video. I don't know how this video is going to be received. I just want to kind of put some of my thoughts out there on even just my gaming habits, and I also recognize this video may not age very well or at all, but we'll see how that goes when it comes out and you're watching it or listening to it. I don't know. I do want to throw out there that this is not going to be an anti-Game Pass video, despite what the title may say or seem like or imply, or even an anti-Xbox video. I'm going to be critical of them here, so maybe I will come across that way, but I don't think that that is necessarily reflective of what I actually think if you get that impression. I actually think that Game Pass does provide a great value to consumers, and I have used it to play a few games in the past, and I have enjoyed the service before. So if you're here to watch me relentlessly shit on the box of X's, sorry to say, this is not that video. You can also check out all my other content where I talk about other things if this is not to your liking, because I know that this is kind of a tired old topic that some people just use for kind of fanboy wars, and this is not what this is for. There will be timestamps for you people who are very impatient and just want that super quick fix of a random rant from your content creators of choice, and don't maybe enjoy the buildup of rational thought and reason. In any case, let's move on. Let's get one thing out of the way before we do anything else. Game Pass is a great value for consumers, as I mentioned before. It just is. There's no two ways about it. Even if the rumors are true, and they do end up raising the price at some point of the service, let's just say that the base Game Pass goes to like, I don't know, like $15 a month, right? And Ultimate goes up to like $20 a month. Just as an example, maybe they'll be higher or lower than that, I don't know. It's still a great value and is absurdly cheap in that way. It's the same way that having a streaming video service like Netflix or HBO Max is a great value just on its face, not taking into account the quality of the content. If we are not assessing the content at all, just purely going off of the value of what it is providing you with, it is a great value on that alone. Having access to a recent title like A Plague Tale Requiem, for example, a game that did very well, is objectively a great benefit. Whether you like the game or not, or care about it at all, it is a good look, and it does attract people to the service. There's also the discoverability aspect of it. Maybe one day you're just sitting there in your own self-torment. You're on the floor for some reason, and you get up and decide it's time to game. But now, you just don't know what to play. So you call a friend and you ask him, and he tells you about how he bought a plastic Lancer from Gears of War that he named Kevin. So you hang up. That was weird. I don't know why he told you that. Anyway, you still don't know what to play. This is where Game Pass comes in, a library of hundreds of games to download at just a small monthly subscription price. So you can really just download anything and play it. Without that cost barrier, you tend to get a little bit more experimental. You download and play stuff you never thought possible. Now, if you're like me, maybe you're sitting there thinking, man, everyone talks about how great that game Anthem is, or was. So maybe I should try it. And despite its overwhelming success and critical acclaim, you're just not sure. So you download it to give it a try off Game Pass, and you're in a state of bliss because despite the reception and you knowing that it was going to be good on some level, you just really can't believe how good it really is. And that's what Game Pass allows for. It effectively gives you the ability to demo games before you commit to them. Makes it easier for me to recommend games to my friends and family and whoever else is interested, and maybe end up buying up games you're in love with. And given it's updated all the time, it's beyond a great deal in the ways I just mentioned. After all, the world is tough, so why shouldn't you be able to download Power Wash Simulator and live out your deepest fantasy of cleaning objects with a big tube that shoots water very aggressively? Clean that shit so good the dirt and grime will think twice before coming back. The reason that I don't think that this video will age very well is because of what I'm about to say, which is, it's almost a meme at this point, right? To say that Xbox has these games that are coming. These big games, they're coming. They've been coming for a while, but let's just say we humor that for a bit just for the sake of giving ourselves that big old giggle. Big games like Starfield Redfall are coming day and date to the service. It's a great value proposition that unfortunately, until they get into a regular cadence of these releases, remains just that. It's a proposition. It hasn't come to fruition yet. Still, it's not lost on me the power that this thing could have once it has those AAA first-party titles launching on the service. They also have to be good, of course, but once they start releasing in a regular cadence, this thing will be unstoppable in some ways. I still think a lot of my points here in this video will stand regardless of whether these games launch this year or launch later and they're great, but let's move on. Funny enough though, that very same reason I list as a Game Pass benefit, a benefit to having Game Pass, I would also list as a reason why I stopped using it, hence what the reason for this video is. There are so many games to play, it's kind of overwhelming. Now, a layman may hear that, or you may even hear me say that as a gamer yourself and think you're complaining about having too many games to play, and I would reply and say, did I actually say that? Can you just like relax for a second? Now, this is not a purely me thing, but I tend to go pretty deep into the games I play. I like to really dive into them and play them as completely as I can. I have 157 platinum trophies to date for that reason, because I like to dive into my games. I find the prospect of having so many games on a backlog or even a list so daunting that I find I just end up playing less regardless if I try to juggle a lot all at once. Every once in a while, a Crisis Core Reunion type game pops out that I must play it as completely as I can. The argument of there's hundreds of games doesn't do anything but make me think, can I even play 100 games in a year? I know that's purely a me problem, by the way. I know that. I'm acknowledging that, but that's why this is my video and not your video, of course, right? Even with Netflix as an example, there's so much shit on that service. And even if I am generous and let's say 20% is good, or let's be a bit more conservative here and say 10% is good, I might only end up watching 1% of the content because the other 9% just doesn't fit my tastes. If the math there doesn't make sense to you, it's because it likely doesn't. I barely made it through math in high school and college. Me and math got beef. Every day or so, I gotta get in the ring with it and go toe to toe with it and show it that I can do simple addition and subtraction, but a calculator for anything more complicated would be best. The point I make here is there is likely a lot of content I will enjoy on a service that will make it worth the monthly subscription, but I am so slow on the uptake, I doubt I will even hit a lot of the stuff I would be interested in, since time is just as important as money, if not more so in some ways. Look at my Steam library here. Now look a bit at my PSM library. It's okay, you can look, I have no shame. Let alone if I show you the games I've wrapped in plastic that I want to get to still, and Switch games I'd take forever to comb through because this Switch is very stinky and smelly. It's obvious to me that a new game could not come out for a good year or two before I would slightly even notice. Now obviously I do notice because I do kind of, pay attention to what's going on in the industry somewhat, but you get my point. We also do the mental calculation here of what we want to throw our money at. I have AMC A-List, for example, basically $26 a month, and I get 3 free movies a week plus discounts on concessions. Even if I watch 2 movies a month, I get my money's worth, right? You could apply the same concept to games, play even one game that's valued higher than the price of the service, and it's worth the money. But again, it comes down to preference for me. A movie is anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours these days, where a game can be anywhere from 5 hours to 200 hours depending on the game. For me, I can justify the cost with movies, but maybe with games, I do have a little bit of trouble with it. Why I stopped using it? We also get into this cycle of Xbox saying the first party games are coming, and yeah, there's been some output and those games have been well received, and that's great for them. But I think that what they really need is that AAA capture the moment type of game. I do believe Starfield will be that game for them, but it just needs to come out. I mean, I have to believe all these games will be out soon, because otherwise, what is Xbox doing? What is Microsoft doing with Xbox? If leaks are to be believed, we will definitely see Redfall and Starfield out this year, and I really hope they do, because I'm kind of hesitantly excited for Starfield, even though I have some misgivings about how Bethesda has handled Fallout, for example, and I guess how they don't even handle Elder Scrolls at this point, given that the best, supplement they have for Elder Scrolls right now is just play ESO. Regardless, this has been a year that we've been told is coming for years, so I can kind of guess that there's gonna be a time when these games have to come out, and I think that this might be their year finally, but it's gotta happen. I bought into the PlayStation ecosystem a while back, and while they have had some stumbles and some of their decisions this gen have been very questionable, like the need for another remaster of The Last of Us, for example, or that rumored Horizon Zero Dawn remake, a game that came out in 2017 that really doesn't need a remake, I still maintain that they have a strong lineup of powerful first-party games that gets you on the console. Again, this is not anti-Xbox rhetoric, more so I am telling you why I'm just more likely to play on PlayStation right now at this moment. I also want to point out that I think Jim Ryan kind of sucks, but that's just me. I'm also just addicted to the PlayStation trophy system. Getting that final platinum trophy after playing a game you'll love to its fullest just feels fulfilling and fun, and I enjoy the hunt. It forces me to play games more thoroughly than I might otherwise, and I just don't have that same love for achievements anymore. If you could even find my gamer tag, you could look. Years ago, I was pretty avid on the achievement hunting, but then I changed over to PS4, and I don't know if I have the time or energy to jump around again like I used to between consoles. I still do, obviously, when a game interests me. I have a Switch, and I do play games on PC at times, but I mainly just game on my PlayStation. I say all that to say there's yet to be a first-party title from Xbox in recent years that has screamed out to me, you need to buy an Xbox for this. And I love my Xbox fans and family here, of course. I'm hoping these big games come for you and are successful, and I'm probably going to play some of them. But I still remain dumbfounded how Microsoft has fumbled the bag for this long with their first-party titles. It remains just this baffling mystery to me. And you can look at my time on Halo Infinite. I played Halo Infinite for over 100 hours just on the multiplayer alone, but it just became clear to me that the game is, and may still not be, done. Regardless, I do have this hope that they're going to turn the corner here. I don't know if that means I'm going to resubscribe to Game Pass just to play these games. I feel like I would rather just buy them at this point. I do want to give the caveat here that I've only used PC Game Pass, which I acknowledge is the inferior as it stands to the console offerings, and I can appreciate that fact. I will, however, just note that doesn't make any of what I said less true for me than if I used Xbox Game Pass on console. I also don't really have a need for the cloud streaming or the swapping between console and PC, as I don't have an Xbox currently, and most of the games I would play I already have on a PlayStation, sitting on my shelf wrapped in plastic or in my digital library. I just don't have the utility for it either way, and maybe that will change when a game like Starfield launches, but right now I'm just kind of chilling. I'm good. I also want to take a minute to comment on something I see people talk about online, or even podcasters I like tend to mention in their commentary. There seems to be almost this white knighting of Xbox in some instances. Just the posture alone that PlayStation is somehow trying to rob people because they refuse to put their first-party titles day and date on PlayStation Plus. We can't argue the value between that and Xbox. That's absurd. It's absurd value, right? No denying it. Game Pass is the better deal if the first-party games come to the service, and they're great, and they're big, and they're massive. But for me, I do wonder why it seems to be painted like Xbox is doing this out of kindness, humility, and love for the customer above all. It's about money, dude. Money. Growing it to a place where it's sustainable and even profitable. Suffice to say, that's not even like a, hey, PlayStation's doing any better. I agree, PlayStation's strategies this gen are puzzling to me at times, but I also understand their point of view that they can't just uproot their whole system overnight and put their games on PlayStation Plus day and date, as it would likely train their audience to just not buy their games or wait for them to come to the service, which clearly with the sales of God of War Ragnarok, it shows they don't really even need to do that just yet. They don't have the money that Microsoft has, where they can do something like Mixer, Microsoft did, burn millions and millions of dollars and then shut it down and then take a major hit on it and just continue on like nothing happened. The point I make here is that I take issue with the posturing that Sony is uniquely greedy because they won't offer the same value as Xbox Game Pass, more than anything. Both of these are money-grubbing corporations that will legit, in my humble opinion, rather figure out cloning technology so they can replace you as a customer upon your death with someone just like you that has similar interests and buying habits. It's like, we can agree that Game Pass is great without saying everyone should just follow their lead immediately and overnight when they don't have the infrastructure or the financial backing to withstand such costs. But gaming is not like movies. A big AAA game can cost anywhere from $100 million conservative to upwards of $200 million and beyond. Where movies and shows can be done more cost effectively, a movie like The Fabelmans, a great movie by the way, you should go see it or watch it when you can or if you can, is made with a budget of $40 million. And Everything Everywhere All at Once, also one of the best movies last year, at a budget of $25 million. You of course have Marvel movies that reach higher of course in the hundreds of millions, but the point being is that game development is often more expensive and more complicated, takes longer, and the simple math here is that millions of copies not being sold for $60 a pop and under the banner of $15 a month does not a profit make. You don't need to be good at math to know that. At least for a while, of course, until you get advertisers on board and a lot of major players on board. I know Phil Spencer likes to come out once in a while and say, Game Pass is sustainable, of course, and we are all meant to just go, oh, cool, man, and take his word for it. I haven't seen anything that says he's right or wrong. Have you? And of course, the tenuous legal fight with Microsoft and the Activision Blizzard deal being what it is, it's a shit show. I mean, that's another reason reason this video is probably not going to age well. There might be some kind of development where you're going to go, God fucking damn it, what did they say now? What did PlayStation or Microsoft say now? Add to this, I don't play a lot of Activision Blizzard games, so the biggest draw for me is probably like Diablo, but even then, I don't really love Diablo that much to subscribe to Game Pass on PC to play it on release. Maybe I'll buy it, and that'll be my choice of course, but I have a hard time seeing myself being affected by this deal much in terms of my personal tastes. If there's a point to this video rant at all, it's that I don't use Game Pass. I mean, I did just get Power Wash Simulator gameplay footage for you, but otherwise, I don't use Game Pass. For the same reason, I barely use any of my streaming services at home. I only have so much time, and to divest it amongst all of these services means I personally feel I am not giving the things I really love the proper attention. I understand this is purely a me problem, and I can see the comments already being written, but I guess the point here is that I don't use Game Pass at the moment, and I don't even know if I ever will again. But I could definitely see a scenario where I purchase a Series S just to play some of those Xbox exclusives because I don't want my PC to melt, and I don't typically play games on my PC really to begin with, unless it's for older titles that are just easier to purchase and play on Steam. But as I said before, these Xbox exclusives, they need to come. And I hope they are, and I think they are. But if they're not, well, then I guess my choices today will be vindicated still. I don't expect you to agree with everything I said in this video, nor do I even necessarily expect this video to do very well, but I'll be damned if I don't have a few rants for you to enjoy and come back to, or see how bad my opinions have aged. If you did get this far, I appreciate you listening to my incoherent blubbering and ranting and raving. I wanted to make this video for a while just to have some direct discussions about the conversations in gaming that I think are interesting, or worth a discussion. Of course, I do want to hear from you, so if you're done faking your own death and have a second of time to give me your thoughts, or right below, please do. I will respond to as many comments as I can, but just keep in mind, if it's constructive, we can totally chat. If not, I will respond very, very sarcastically. Tears also may fill in my eyes, but regardless, we persevere. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. Hey, are you still there? You are? Oh, fantastic. I hope you liked this video here, because if you did, you should definitely watch one of the other two on the screen. I don't know what they are since I'm talking to you from the past, but someone told me that they are great. But don't click on that one. You know which one. The one you're thinking of. The only one you're thinking of. Alright, I'm gonna go. End of video.